Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. We're on our third video now, and this one is probably a bit more gruesome and gory than you would expect for a third video, but I won't go into too much detail, don't worry. Yesterday I went to the hospital to see a specialist midwife to see whether or not it was safe for me to have a vaginal birth this time. The reason that we had to find out basically whether it was safe or not is because I had Lily at a different hospital to where I'm having this baby, so my records and things hadn't been passed across, and there were some circumstances that meant it was difficult to ascertain whether or not the tear that I had with Lily was a 3rd degree, 4th degree, etc. So I went yesterday to this appointment, which is just a really quick appointment, and unfortunately for me, you had to have an ultrasound probe stuck somewhere. Ultrasound probe in your back passage to see whether or not you have had any trauma or any scarring or anything like that to the perineal area. So when you give birth, if you give birth vaginally, you've got obviously the vagina where the baby comes out of with the muscles around, then you've got your bum basically, and there's a piece of skin in between the vagina and the bum, and that tears in a lot of women when they're giving birth. Sometimes that tear is just in the skin, sometimes it carries on and goes into the muscles of your bum basically, and that can cause a lot of problems for women, like later in life, so they need to check whether or not it was that serious or whether it was just a graze basically. If women have had a 3rd or 4th degree tear before, it's recommended, depending on how the muscle's torn and how it's repaired itself, etc, etc, which is why they do the scan, then it may be recommended that they have a cesarean section for the delivery, which makes it safer for mom and effectively baby then. So there's no 3rd degree tear when I had Lily. That was proven by the scan yesterday. Everything seemed to be okay. There was no problem with any of the muscles that she was looking for. That was all intact, so that's great. It just means that the tear I had with Lily was a nasty 2nd degree tear basically. And yeah, so that's good news. Do I need to have a cesarean section? So plan now is, at the moment, no cesarean, normal. I can have a normal birth, and great, unless something goes wrong. I'm not adverse, I'm not sort of shut off to having a cesarean if that needs to happen, if there's something wrong. Absolutely, if that's the best option, happy to do that. But for now, I can go forward with this in mind, that I'm able to have a normal delivery. I think even if they'd have said yesterday, yeah, you have had a 3rd degree tear, depending on the severity of it and things, I probably would have tried to have a normal delivery anyway, just because of the recovery time and things. Obviously I've got Lily already. Having a cesarean would make looking after her one more difficult, and also then a newborn. I think a lot of, I'm going to sound like such a cow, but one thing I get really nervous and apprehensive about for mothers is mothers having cesarean sections, if you need to because it's an emergency, and if you need to because you have to, or you've had one before, and there's many reasons you can have one, but a lot of people just opt into it, and it's such a massive operation. You wouldn't have a hip replacement just on the off chance that, oh well, I can't cope. Your body is made to do this, and if you can do it, please try to do it, because a cesarean section, you are cutting your stomach muscles open. That takes 6, 8, 10 weeks to heal, and then you've got a newborn to look after. Having a newborn, yes, people might think it's easy, they sleep, they poo, blah blah blah. It's difficult work, And I can only imagine, you know, all these hormones that are going on. You've just had a massive major surgery. People think, oh, you've had a baby, get on with it. It's not like that. You know, if you've had a cesarean section, I take my hat off to you, because it must be so difficult afterwards. And if I can avoid that, I will. If I can't, then absolutely, if it's the safest thing to do, then that's the safest thing to do. But I just, it scares the life out of me thinking about the recovery of that whilst having a newborn and a toddler. It's crazy. So no cesarean section for me. Appointment, she actually said to me that even though I've been high risk and consultant led throughout the pregnancy, if you've read my blog, you may well have seen the complications that we've been having and things. So I've been consultant led and high risk, etc., blah blah blah, all very dramatic. You have to then go to delivery suite rather than the birthing centre. Because everything was fine on the scan, she called the birthing centre and asked them basically whether I'd be allowed to deliver there rather than on delivery suite. So it's a bit calmer, you know, there's a bit less intervention if you don't need it, it's a bit more relaxed, etc., etc. And I can, hopefully, if baby comes after 37 weeks, then I can go to the birthing centre, which means, it just means I can have access to things like a pool and a water birth if I wanted to, rather than being stuck on a bed and having monitors and beepers and nurses and doctors around you constantly. It's a bit more relaxed. It's midwife led, so slightly more relaxed, you know. I'm quite comfortable around doctors, consultants, nurses, anaesthetists anyway from work, so it doesn't bother me where I am, and once you're in labour you probably won't care anyway, so that's just an extra bonus, I think. When I was pregnant with Lily, I really wanted a water birth, and I couldn't in the end because my waters broke. They said, oh no, nothing's happening, go and have a sleep, go down to the ward. Sent Emmett home, and then I went to sleep, had no pain relief, woke up and something didn't feel quite right, so I pressed the buzzer. The lady came in and she said, oh, baby's crowning. So I didn't really have a labour, I was asleep, which is good. I mean, I didn't get any of the stress, the strains, the pains or anything like that, so I'm not going to complain, but I know this time it is not going to be anything like that. I've prepared myself mentally, I think, for now an awful birth, because I've had one really good birth and this one may well be awful. So I didn't really have a birth with Lily, I didn't have any pain relief, but I'm not stupid and I know that I may well need something, and if I do, then I do. If I can go in the pool, I'll try and go in the pool. I can't have gas and air, it makes me really sick. I've had a lot of operations and when I am put to sleep they can't use the gas, and if they do I have to have a lot of, like, loads of anti-sickness medication, because I vomit, and there's obviously risk in operations, not in labour, but there's obviously a risk of you choking when you're sick, blah 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 blah. But that's not the case in labour, obviously, if you're awake anyway. So I'd rather just not have the gas in there, not have that sicky feeling, because the likelihood is I may well feel sick anyway whilst I'm in labour. I don't want that to heighten it and add to it. So gas and air is a no. What else? I mean, back massage. Em's really good at giving back massages. I get a back massage from all of the time. And because he's obviously been in a sports environment, they're not soft massages that you'd go to a spa for. They're really intense, deep tissue, hard massages. And I think that will actually benefit me whilst I'm in labour, because there's a lot of pressure down below and on your pelvis and on your hips. If he really digs his thumbs in, that will hopefully relieve the pressure for me and help me, hopefully. So he's under strict instructions that he must give me back massages whilst I'm in labour. And yeah, I mean, hopefully that helps. Hopefully the water helps. We've been doing hypnobirthing, so we've got our breathing. I say we've got our breathing. I am so out of breath. Like this big bump makes it so difficult to breathe. And whilst we were learning the hypnobirthing, they teach you to inhale for up to 9 seconds and exhale for up to 9 seconds. I can't do 9. I think I can do 7. But I really have to concentrate and slow down and calm down, and then I can get to about 7, which is fine. If you've also read one of my blogs about sleeping, that was how I got myself to sleep. When I was struggling to sleep, I would do the hypnobirthing breathing, probably for about 5 seconds in and out, and that really helped me calm down. So I'm hoping that that may work in part of the labour. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then that's fine. One thing I'm not adverse to, although I'm a big wimp and I'm really scared of needles, if I feel like I need like a pethidine injection, then I'm quite happy to have that. I've read a lot about it. Apparently you're awake but it's it just sort of takes the edge off, and you can sleep or rest between contractions and things like that. So I'm not adverse to having pethidine. I'm quite happy if I feel that I need it. I'm quite happy to have that. It sounds really terrible, but I refuse to have an epidural. I am a massive wimp. I mean, I can cope with a little injection, as I say, for pethidine or something, but I am a massive wimp. I will not be having an epidural. And if it comes to the point where I need to have a cesarean section, I've already spoken with an anaesthetist at the hospital where we're having baby to say that I'd rather have a general anaesthetic. I'm not having an epidural at all, or a spinal block, no way. Even the thought of it really freaks me out, so general anaesthetic all the way, which means that my drink, my snacks, food, etc. whilst I'm in labour will be limited in case I need to have a cesarean, because I refuse to have an epidural. Obviously you can't eat and drink for a certain amount of time before a general anaesthetic, so that's something we need to be careful of and we need to keep an eye on. Now, more in terms of my birth plan, obviously Emmett's going to be there. We will, when I go into labour, we'll probably ring his mum and dad because they live the closest, get them to come and pick Lily up, and then we'll go to hospital together. Hopefully my best friend is coming as well, but she's got a holiday booked. I think she goes away on the 19th of November to Dubai, so she may or may not come, depending on when baby is born, so we'll have to wait and see about that. The only other bits that I've really planned are that I don't want to cut baby's cord until it stopped pulsing, so that all the nutrients have gone through. Emmett didn't cut Lily's cord, so I don't suspect he'll cut the cord this time either. I did it last time, so I may well do it this time. And then also I am donating the cord blood to Anthony Nolan, so the placenta and the cord will be taken away, and that can be used for research and to help people with stem cell problems and things like that in the future. So that's a nice thing to do, otherwise it just gets thrown away. So if it can help someone, then great. I suppose it's more beneficial than it being thrown in the bin. Other than that, I suspect we just have to go with the flow and see what happens, to be honest. I don't think any two births are going to be the same. You can't really plan too much for it. You can't have a really strict birth plan on how you want things, because it's never going to go that way. Any complications can happen, so I'm quite relaxed about it and I'm quite happy to just go with the flow. Thanks for watching. If you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and hopefully see you all again soon. Bye!